Hello, welcome. This is Cara. Welcome to CaraBrandonCreations. Do your scrap bins look like this? Mine are overflowing, and I felt guilty because I've been saving all of these scraps, but I haven't been using them. Whenever I would look at my bins, I would just feel too overwhelmed to even start. So instead of hiding them away, I came up with 10 ways to get my scrap guilt into scrap gold. In other words, I'm going to take these scrap bins and get them so that they're usable so I can easily pull from them whenever I want to do a scrap buster project. So in this video, I'll show you the 10 simple ideas to organize your scraps so they're ready to use in your next scrap buster project. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my piles and sort by size. So let's just take this first box. If I have full book pages, that might end up in a different place because it's not a true scrap. If I have cutoffs, I'm going to separate my large and my small and my medium. And then I'm going to take pieces like this and set them in a different pile. All right, so let's get started. All right, so as I'm sorting, I'm putting them not only in piles of small, medium, large, but also you'll see in the top right corner, I have about 2-inch strips and then longer strips. And in a second, I'm going to show you that I'm even going to sort those strips into smaller piles. And then, in the meantime, I'm going to put all of my sorted piles into Ziploc bags. And that will be how I store them while I'm organizing. So here, I'm going to take my group of smaller scraps and I'm going to separate these even further. So like sized and shape items will go together, small, medium, and large will go together, and I'm even going to make a pile for things like die cuts and things that might be in the wrong place, like that stamp. That will go in my little ephemera bin. So I'm just going to go through these and sort the sizes and the shapes. Let's take a look at what I've done so far. I have sorted my pieces into sizes and shapes, strips, thinner strips. I still have some backgrounds here. So yeah, so I could call it a day since they're a bit more organized than they were, but I don't want to stop here. I want to go through this one. So this one, I have pieces that have funky bits torn out of them or pieces that have been die cut. All right, and there's all shapes, sizes. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this stack. I'm going to get a paper trimmer and we're going to trim these up so that they can then go into our other pieces, right? Or into our other sorting bags. So we have a little strip like this, and maybe we'll go this way. Right, and then we have a piece like that. All right, and then the pieces like this isn't, I mean, this is up to you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these into thin strips like this, okay? And the reason is, one of my favorite things to make is the Cori Dahmen style embellishment, where you have these pieces. So I'll show you that after I kind of get these cut. Like here we could get another little rectangle. And then you're thinking, oh my gosh, Cara, are you really going to use all those itty bits? Well, if this is something you feel like you would never use or need, then skip this step. But hopefully the video will show you there's ways. Now I'm going to be okay with parting with this. Okay, and then I'm going to take pieces like this and do the same thing. Kind of cut it, and maybe you want the ribbed edge, and if that's the case, I'm trying to see what I want to do. That's fine, but then maybe you just want to even it up, right? Or have a piece like this. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut off that rough bit. And then do the same with this. So then I have some shapes. Oops. Alright, and then I can put that here. And again, if you want to save these pieces, these make great little collage pieces for Masterboards or small collage. Alright, so here's another piece. Not sure if it's going to fit in my trimmer, but let's see. And this one I might just, well, no, let's trim it here because it's already started to cut. Just like that. And then this piece, either put it in your collage pile or you can toss. Let's see. There's some more with my pieces that I've die cut out of. And I'm going to first look for larger pieces so that I can trim. And then my strips. Okay. And then I think I'm going to go ahead, turn on a show, and continue this, and I'll be back. Alright, so here's my gigantic pile after going through that tub. I now have more scraps to sort and put into my Ziploc bags. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do next. I'm going to put thin strips together, smaller pieces together, etc. And then I'm going to fit those into the Ziploc bags. Alright, so here is a look at my sorted piles. And again, I'm going to put these into the temporary storage of the Ziploc bags. Okay, so now we're ready for step 3, and that is to cut scraps into uniform sizes. So a lot of times we have our journal cards at 3x4, sometimes 4x6, and these sizes are great. They could be used for journaling cards, but they could also make great pockets or bases to go in. So I'm going to take my stacks here and I'm going to cut them down to 3x4, 4x6. Some of them I choose not to do that with, and that's okay too, but I'm going to keep the pieces that I cut down together so that I can easily find them. All right, while I was cutting, I thought, you know what, some of these would be great as tags. So I set those aside, and now I'm using my tag punch to turn these into tags. And I'm going to put these in a box that I have with unfinished tags that I can then use at a later time. All right, so now we're on tip number 4. We're going to get out our punches and our die cuts. Now, let's look for punches that maybe we haven't used in a while, because then that makes this really fun. Or your favorite punches that you use all the time, and then you can have those things like tabs and little embellishments ready to go. You don't have to stop your project and then go make some more things. So I've pulled out things like this butterfly punch, a tab punch, circle punches, whale tails, etc. And just punch, punch, punch to your heart's content. Here's a look at all of the items I punched and die cut with my scraps. From here on out, when I am using my dies with my scraps, I'm only going to pull a few sets. So that way I can just focus on mass making those same dies. What I did this time is I pulled out about 6 or 7, and then I felt overwhelmed by having to make all of those die cuts. So instead, next time around, I'm only going to pull out a few of my favorites, or a few that I haven't used yet, or a few that I haven't used in a long time. Okay, so let's take a minute and kind of see where we're at. I still have the 2 trays, however, I feel like it's already looking more organized. So let's start with this tray. In this tray, I have a box from Dollar Tree that I've had for a while, and I put my wider, it's about an inch and a half strips that fit in the box. That was kind of the requirement. These I could turn into mini tags. I could make belly bands. I could make snippets. Lots of fun things that I could do with these. So I have those. And then in this tray, I'm deciding if I like having the varying sizes, or if I want to be super picky and make these, cohesive sizes. So like journaling card size, these I've cut down to journaling card size, which is 3x4. Oh, I don't think this one is, but these are all 3x4. So I don't know if I want to do that consistently, or if I'm okay with having varying sizes. We'll kind of just go with it. So there's all different things that I could use these pieces, of course, for collage. They could be a little flip out, different things like that. I could turn them easily into tags, all sorts of things. In this one, I have the tiniest of little bits, perfect for small clusters, as well as over here, I have a bunch of different pieces that I've cut down that would be great for little clusters. So that's right there. Okay, and then in these 3 tray or buckets here, I put smaller strips that would fit inside the bucket, so shorter than these. And these are varying in width, so about 2 inches to 1 inch-ish, right, width-wise. And they all fit in the box. And then this one are the smaller pieces. This is one I'm going to call like the Cori Dahmen pieces, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. So those are shorter, and these are my longer Cori Dahmen pieces. When I say Cori Dahmen, what I mean, let me set this aside, and I've had videos on these in the past. If you would like me to do another video, I would love to, because these are so fun to make. I did these during the 100-day project. Oh, I put the thing away. I'm not sure what day. And they're just the leftover strips. Added some lace and a focal flower, and did some sewing. You don't have to do some sewing. And then these could go on a belly band, they could go on a tag, they can go on a different embellishment, however you want to use them. They're really great to mass make and then have in your stash. Here's a different one I made, and here's one I made into a pocket. And I have a video for this. I did this a while back, and this one is on a little piece of card. And so what I'm talking about with the Cori Dahmen are these itty bitty strips that you put on any piece of ephemera and then just add a little embellishment. And it's just so cute and simple, and I love it. And here's another one that's a pocket. This one I have a die cut and a little faux stamp. Just really, really cute. And so if you have your tub of these, you could just sit and do the bases, just glue pieces together, and then sew them and then embellish, right? You wouldn't have to do all of the stages at the same time. So that's this tray. Okay, so in the second tub, I have the larger pieces of my scraps. And these again are the ones that I've cut the funky edges off mostly. And I have them in Ziploc bags according to size again. But these are just the larger pieces that I have. Okay, and then I also have another bag, and you'll see it there to the left. It has the larger strips, and they are more than 2 inches wide mostly, and these are great to do little flip up, flip down kind of pieces, so I have those together. And then I have the itty bitty cutoffs, and these are 1 inch or smaller, and they're the longer pieces that won't fit in that tray and the other one. So I have all of these together in a Ziploc. And then at the very bottom of this tray, I have the really big pieces of scraps or pieces that I need to cut apart. Tip number 6 is to create theme packs with your scraps. You could also do texture or type of paper. I tend to do a lot of things in rainbow colors, so I decided I'm going to separate some of my scraps into color themes. I bought these mesh bags on Amazon. I'll link them below, and it's perfect because there's pink, purple, black, white, all of the colors. I wish there was tan. There's not tan, but it's going to be perfect. So then I'm going to go through my scraps again and sort them by color. So I think I have pink right here, and I'm just going to go through all of the big pieces and see if there's anything of that color that I want to toss into this mesh bag. This is a great thing to do after a project. That is my goal from here on out. If I've finished a project, I'm going to start going through my scraps and tossing them and doing this whole process. And I'm just going to put these guys in this pouch, and then this can become, okay, so I'm going to open this. And this has just become my pink storage. Okay, so here is the tub I have these in. I have more of these Ziploc bags that I think I'll stick in here to help keep these upright, or they can go like this, but I really want to be able to see the colors because I think it'll be easy to grab. So I have my pink, and of course I have it in rainbow order, and then when I want to look through, it's pretty easy to pick it up and take a look. So I have all of the colors. White, I decided to do creams and browns along with white, and then I have a few things in my gray and then my black. So that's what I have, and like I said, I have a few more of these pouches that I'm going to put in here that store work in progress things and kits and different things that I have. So those will go in here. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make some masterboards with some of my scraps. Now you could do this step before you cut everything down and use all those rough edged pieces. I thought I saved mine because I had a big pile, but I can't seem to find it. So I am just going to go through here and pick a color. How about a green and tan? All right, so I'm going to take some things that fit in that color palette. And then I'm going to make some pre-made masterboards that then at a later time, when I need something green for a journal, I can then decide how I want to cut it apart. Okay, now I'm going to get, I think a file folder would make a nice base. I'm gonna, ooh, this one's perfectly ready to go. I'm gonna have a file folder, and then I am just going to start making my masterboard. Here are my completed masterboards. I did almost all the rainbow colors except for purple. As you know, I am behind on the palette kits, and purple is one of them. So a lot of these are using some of my leftovers or scraps from the palette kits, like these little pieces. But here's my red one. Here's orange. Here's yellow, green, and blue. So I'm going to put these in my little color-coded pouches, and then these will be ready to go, and I can cut them up however I need them, if it's tags or journaling cards or whatever. So that's a nice way to use your scraps. Okay, the next way we're going to use our scraps is to make some cluster starters. We could take a longer piece, and this could be the base of our cluster. And this is just kind of a starter cluster, right? So I'm just going to grab some random pieces and then make some clusters. And this would even be a great thing to use after, or do after the after your masterboard, because you end up with little ripped pieces like this. And maybe you don't want to save them, or maybe you do, but this is a great thing to use up those little bits. And then maybe, well, I'm going to go ahead and work the whole way through this one. And then, so it's more, excuse me, more like a little mini snippet strip. But then we could cut them into smaller clusters. Another great way would be if you just started these, if you put them, I've seen people attach them in a book. They have a specific book just for clusters, and I think that would be fun. And then when you need to have a finishing touch, or you want to go back and work on your clusters, they're all in one location. You could put some stitching through here, little sewing would be nice. But then at another time, you would come back and add your finishing touches. If it's a word phrase or a focal image, you would cut this to the length that you want. You could add lace to this, but you're just kind of starting your cluster. If you want, you could take these smaller pieces and just build your clusters on here, or do what I did and then have it I think it might be easier if you're going to store them to store it this way. So there we have a couple of cluster starters. You could just sit and make a bunch of these. You could even store them, if you wanted, right here in your long strip tray. And then you would have those easy to grab so you could finish at another time. Okay, the next thing is, as you're going through your scraps, you might find images that you think would make a great focal image. So you might want to pull them out and set them aside, and then we can fussy cut these, and then these could become ephemera. This I had cut down, but really I could use some of the ephemera from these bits. So you can just fussy cut these, and then once they're fussy cut, once they're cut out, you could just keep them in a little tub and have your fussy cut images to use later. Okay, the last idea to get your scraps more usable and ready, number 10, would be to make tuck spots and pockets, and even if you have an envelope punch board, to use your pieces to make small envelopes, right? So let's take a couple of our scraps, and we could turn this. It's basically a pocket already. And I'm going to take where it's folded, and I'm going to trim that off. I'll actually put it on this side. I think I'm going to make my tag pocket a little shorter and even that up. So yeah, there we go. And then this piece, of course, I can tuck right in. It's ready to go. The tag corner punch. There we go. The 3 edges. Go. And then that is ready for decorating. And this could go in my little pre-made tag box. Alright, so I'm going to set that aside. Alright, so this one could be one of your fold-out pockets because it's white here, and that'd be good for writing space. So I'm just going to fold and fold. And this is a cutoff that I probably used the rest of the page in a journal. I'm going to take a edge punch and trim the edge just to give it a little something. And there we go. Cute. And then we could ink this up. And there we go. And this can just attach in the journal. This could even be a pocket, and then this folds up and this folds down, and you have lots of places for journaling. We have a couple little smaller scraps. All right, I'm gonna get my envelope punch board, I think, and let's see if we can make an envelope from this. Okay, I'm gonna use my mini punch board, envelope punch board, and and then you can fold it up, and then you have your envelope. And then let's glue it together, and then you can have a little stash of envelopes ready to go in your journals. Cute. Alright, so that is the last way to use, where's my other thing that I made? Oh, here it is. Get your scraps ready to become more usable. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have found a few ways, if not 10 ways, to help get your scraps ready and in a usable state so that you can then go ahead and just grab some scraps and get to crafting. Alright, so now that I'm ready, in my next few videos, will be doing some scrap busters. Leave in the comments if there's any particular scrap buster you would like to see. Alright, as always, I hope you have a wonderfully crafty day, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I would love if you wanted to subscribe. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!